Hey guys, are you thinking about going on a cruise but not too sure because you're a little bit introverted? Or do you have a cruise booked and you're wondering if it's going to be much fun because you are introverted? Well, let's talk about cruising and being an introvert. Okay, so first off, let me assure you that even as an introvert, you will enjoy cruising. But there are definitely some things that you can do to make your experience even better. So I've got 10 tips for you on things that my introverted friends like me can do in order to make sure that you have a fantastic cruise experience. Okay, so the first one I think is one of the most important for an introvert, and that's select the right room. So we got a balcony room, and I was very grateful that we did. When you are all peopled out and you've had enough, the balcony room allows you to enjoy the trip just like you would, on the ship, out on a deck somewhere, but from within your room with no people other than your people around you. So really, I highly encourage you to get the balcony room. If you're already booked and you didn't book a balcony room, don't panic. Give your travel agent a call and ask about if there are any deals on a good upgrade. It's actually almost better in some cases if they have the availability. That's the only bad part, but if they have the availability, it can actually be better to call after the fact and look for a deal to upgrade. So see if you can upgrade to yourself to a balcony room. If you've already got one, good job, you're set. Okay, let's talk about those busy decks. So the Lido deck by far is the most busiest of decks on the ship. So if you are not a big fan of crowds and a lot of people, you do want to try and avoid the Lido deck. So if you want to go to the Lido deck because you want to eat, try and hit it at off times. Hit it at 11, for your lunch, or early for breakfast. Again, get up early, have your breakfast about, 7:30, somewhere in that range, and it'll be a bit quieter. But once things like mid-afternoon hits, there's probably not going to be a quiet period. It's a pretty hectic place. So after that, you'll want to kind of spend your time on the other areas of the ship. They'll actually be more manageable or enjoyable. So if you're on deck 5 or any of the decks like where the casino is, or on the decks that have the American lobby, a lot of those spaces will be a lot quieter during those time frames, unless of course there's an event. So for the most part, you'll want to go the opposite of the Lido deck from probably about 10 a.m. until well into the evening. Okay, next one is wake up early. I think the best time to enjoy a ship is in the early hours of the morning. Most people don't get up early. Most people enjoy the sleep-in aspect, but the ship is quiet. The decks that are normally chaotic are quiet. You can actually take everything in. The only downside is not everything is open yet, but when it comes to just getting a beautiful shot by the water, getting a look at some of the sunsets that are out there, couples pictures, the early morning is fantastic for it. If you're on the Carnival Valor, grab yourself a coffee. Deck 5 is usually open earliest for the coffee. Get it and then head out to the decks that are normally super busy and go and get yourself some touring in those areas and enjoy just the solitude.
Plane crash near Lafayette, Louisiana. The catch by Jefferson back across midfield. Harley McCrory, well-known and well-liked sports reporter in the state of Louisiana.
Okay, so next one. Assuming you plan to have some drinks on your cruise, I would suggest finding your bar. So the cruise ships have a ton of these little bars within their ship, and you can go to them and find that often they're not very busy. The bar on the Lido deck, very busy, but the bars in the little, especially in off times, like in the middle of the afternoon, they're not very busy. So if, for example, we would go to the sports bar. My husband is a big sports fan, so we would go there, which was great for me too, because I could head out and go shopping and then come back in and have a drink, and he's still happy and watching sports. But for us, it was great because we actually got to know the bartender, and he was a super nice guy. The employees on the cruise ship work so hard to create a relationship and be super friendly, and they're so incredibly hardworking. So it's really cool, and they're all from all over the place. So you can learn about some country that you don't know about because maybe they're from the Philippines or from Russia, like lots of really interesting places that these guys are from. So we got to know our bartender there, and we enjoyed interacting with them, and we kind of created our own comfort zone at the sports bar. Now, a caveat to that though is they will probably at some point have some event that will pack them. In our case, the sports bar put on the LSU game, which was great. My husband really wanted that. But all of a sudden, my comfort zone was thrown off because it was packed. So that was my time to go somewhere else. So watch the schedules, see if they have specific events, and then try and find something else to do in that time frame. Or if it's no big deal, by all means, enjoy the event and hang out for the sports game. Not me. But lots of fun for sure. So definitely find your niche, your bar, create your comfort zone, create your seat, your own little cheers spot, and get to know your waiter. They're awesome, or waitress. Okay, so let's actually talk about those events. So you're going to get this fabulous Fun Times event schedule. This is your plan of where not to be if you're an introvert. Not saying you can't enjoy some of these things, but if you really want to enjoy or avoid the crowds, you'll want to probably plan a little bit differently than the schedule. So for example, if a bar has, karaoke going on in it, there's probably another bar in the ship that has nothing going on in it. And that bar will be very quiet and a nice place to sneak away for some solitude. So take your event schedule and use it as a guide of where not to be. Now, let's say you're like, I really like to go to events, I just don't like the crowds. So absolutely, we are actually very much that way. We kind of like the events, but we just don't love the crowds. So what we would do is we would go early to the events, secure ourselves a seat towards the back, and then enjoy the event. Watch the people and participate in the activities, and then sit at the back in our own tight little space and avoiding the crowd. So you can absolutely enjoy some of the events, and just make sure you secure yourself your space so you feel you've got your comfort zone set up. Another good tip as an introvert is to take advantage of the dining. Now there's two dinings. You have breakfast dining and you have dinner dining. And the dining is very different. The breakfast dining, you walk in, there's no designated seating, and you get a choice. You can either sit at a table by yourself, or they ask you, would you like to sit with a group? I shockingly chose to sit with a group one day, and I actually had a really good time. We certainly were the people at the table that didn't do a lot of the talking, but I really was quite fascinated by the people at our table who had cruised an upwards of 15 times. So I really enjoyed hearing about their cruising experiences. That being said, the very second time we went for breakfast, we chose to go by ourselves. It was enough to do it just once. So you have the option at breakfast to say, we just want to sit by ourselves, and you can enjoy a nice quiet breakfast, and the breakfast is fantastic. So overall I enjoyed the sit down meals in the dining room way more than the buffet, and I'll do a video down the road on food on cruise ships, or on this cruise ship anyways, the Carnival, and I'll talk about that. But in general, if I had the choice, I'd definitely do the sit-down meal at breakfast and to choose a table by yourself. Now dinner, a bit different. Dinner, you have designated seating. So you are actually seated with somebody else on the ship. I didn't test this out, but I'm sure if you went up and asked for a table on your own, there would be a chance that because the cruise lines are all trying to accommodate people, if they have the availability of seats, that they would try and accommodate you with something more quieter on your own. That being said, if the dining room's packed, they probably have no choice but to put you with somebody. So there is a risk there. Now, we didn't ask, but we joined our table on 2 nights of the 4 nights that we were there. And the first night that we sat down, the party across from us didn't sit at our table. They didn't join us. We talked to them the next night, and they ended up eating somewhere else. So the next night we went, and then of course we saw them. So that you will have to, I guess, get comfortable with the fact that either you go to the buffet and you grab your food and you eat on your own there, or in the dining room where it's quite a quiet experience, you will sit down with somebody. You take a bit of a risk on whether or not those somebodies will actually also be dining that night. I don't know why they wouldn't be dining. Honestly, the food was so great in the dining room. It was such an enjoyable meal, but who knows? I guess some people, you wander off and you get the buffet. I don't know. But yeah, enjoyed it. So also along the lines of eating, there are 2 other great ways to kind of keep your introverted space, but one is room service. Now there's, I think, a bit of a charge with room service in 2020, but it's still a fantastic option if you don't want to go out and you want to have complete solitude. Then just order in. It works out great. The menu is pretty darn good as well for room service, so definitely good choices. And then secondly, you could also go up to the buffet, grab your food, and then bring it down with you. There's nothing that says that you have to keep your meal on the upper deck and eat up there. You're welcome to take it to go. So definitely think about whether or not you want to take your food with you and eat it back at your room. And again, that's why you want a balcony room. Might as well have a meal with a view. So another thing that you can do, if you're willing to give up your day, your port day, you can hang around the ship on your port day. Definitely a ghost town on the ship on port day, so it's kind of a nice way to really enjoy the entire ship. They do have things on the go on that day, but for the most part, most people are gone. So what a fantastic way to maybe actually go in the pool on the Lido deck and enjoy the ship that way. Now, I don't know who would want to skip Cozumel for a day, but maybe you've seen it many times, and it's not, overly exciting to you. So that might be a fantastic option for you to, cruise the ship alone. Really, we won't be totally alone. There's lots of staff there, but certainly a lot quieter. Okay, so if you didn't get yourself a room with a balcony and you're still looking for a little place to hide away at to get out on the deck, go to floor 3. That's the American lobby. That's the same one that you would have come in on the Carnival Valor. And in around kind of, there'll be a bar and then kind of some doors behind you. You'll have to search for it. I can't describe it well, but essentially there's a hidden deck. There's some doors that lead out onto the deck on that floor 3. Deck 3, and that's where you'll be able to sneak away for a bit of a quiet hideaway for sitting out on the deck. There's also other spots. If you kind of scroll around the deck, you'll find that certain parts of the Lido deck are a little bit quieter than the main, activity areas. Like the exercise area can be a bit quieter, or farther down the other direction, it can be a bit quieter. So you can always find little hideout spots where there's less people that you can enjoy a little bit of space. A little bit harder on the upper decks to get seats, but they do a pretty good job of providing a lot of seats. So you should be able to find something at some point, somewhere along the way, that you can sit at and just get some solitude and enjoy the sounds of the ocean. So ultimately, I have no doubt that as an introvert, you can enjoy the cruise ship experience. I've done Disney World, Disneyland, Las Vegas, New Orleans, not during Mardi Gras. That would definitely be an introvert's nightmare. But the cruise ship experience is not bad at all. There is always this kind of flow of people that allows you to have space where there isn't people. People are in their rooms. A lot of people are congregated around the Lido deck. So you know where not to be and where everywhere else has a really nice flow to it that is not like wall-to-wall people. So you certainly will not feel like you cannot get a drink or you cannot access the activity that you want to do. Like they work incredibly hard to make sure everybody has a really great experience, and I have no doubt that you won't have a problem as an introvert. Awesome, guys. So that is my video on introverts and cruising. Definitely, I think you can do it. Love to have your comments. By all means, please put them down below. I really do enjoy hearing from you guys and knowing that somebody's watched this video. And yeah, be friendly, be kind. Thanks, guys.